Hi, this is Greg Jolly with the OHSU REDCap team. In this video, we'll be talking about using REDCap for e-consent when you have a research consent and a participant signature is required, as well as the signature of the staff member who obtained consent. Instructions are included with the OHSU REDCap templates. This video is intended to be a supplement to those instructions. The templates themselves were developed in collaboration with the OHSU IRB in order to meet the requirements for the use of electronic consent at OHSU. A REDCap e-consent survey is simply a digital version of the paper consent form that has been approved by the IRB. This video is intended for a project builder who is creating an e-consent in their REDCap project for a research consent with the participant signature, and the signature of the staff member obtaining the consent is required. The research consent and authorization form collects the participant's consent decision and signature. The OHSU study staff consent attestation collects the signature from the staff member who obtained consent. In this video, we will cover where to find the templates, how to edit the templates, editing the survey settings for the templates, configuring the e-consent framework and PDF snapshot settings for the templates, and testing the templates. The e-consent templates can be found in three places. You can download a template zip from the OHSU REDCap wiki. You can follow the link e-consent guidance, which is included in the left-hand navigation menu of every REDCap project. You can download the templates from the REDCap shared library. Simply search by the term OHSU to find those templates. Or you could also have a consent form included in your REDCap project because it was selected in one of the new project templates when your project was requested. And now, let's jump over into REDCap and get a look at the research consent and authorization template. In this overview section, we will cover the different components of the research consent and authorization template. The REDCap research consent and authorization template is intended to be an electronic version of the IRB's paper research consent and authorization template. As with all the consent templates, this includes the template tag here to help you identify the template. The REDCap templates for e-consent also include specific fields and formatting developed to ensure researchers comply with OHSU e-consent requirements. Scrolling further down, we have the OHSU logo here, which is required. And then there are fields to copy and paste in your IRB-approved consent form language. In addition, there are fields where the REDCap template has changed for the electronic survey format. These include the version field here, which is required and hidden from participant view via action tags. Please do not remove or modify the action tags here. Also, another instance where the template has been modified for the electronic survey format is the participant's consent decision and signature. You'll note that there are colored instructional fields throughout the template. These should be deleted after you've read through the instructions and completed the task described therein. Also, at the top of the form is the project pre-check field. This is intended to be a reminder that the person who is completing this template is the project point person, who's completed both basics and survey training. The project is on the supported service for research support track. The point person has completed self-service e-consent training on the wiki, and that they've selected the correct e-consent template to match the paper form approved by the IRB. This field can be deleted after you have ensured that all those requirements have been met. Finally, there is the production changes field, which is intended for the reference of the point person when revisions to the e-consent survey are required after the project has moved to production. Please do not remove this field or the action tags associated with it. This concludes the template overview. We'll now move on to editing the template. There are 4 steps involved in editing the template. Step 1 is to open your paper form. You must have a paper form in order to begin filling out the template. The research consent that we'll be using in this video is for demonstration purposes only. Step 2, begin editing the template. starting with the project pre-check field. Once you are certain that all these requirements have been met, delete this field. Moving on to the fields for e-consent management, the production changes link here is strictly for the reference of the point person for when revisions need to be made to the e-consent survey. Please do not remove this field. The ICF version field is essential for managing revisions to the e-consent survey over time. When initially filling out a template, this field notes the IRB-approved version of the paper consent that was transformed to the e-consent survey at the time the project was moved to production. Versions can either be dates or numbers, or a combination of both. We commonly see this format used. So to update this, I will edit the field, copy my approval number from my paper form, paste into this date placeholder here. I'll edit to match formatting. And save. Once you have edited the field, you can then remove the version instructional field. Please note that management of revisions to the e-consent survey after the project has moved to production is covered in a separate training video. For approval and expiration dates, I'll follow the same process. We'll edit the field, copy again from my paper form, paste, edit to correct formatting, copy again, paste over the placeholder text, match formatting again, and save. Again, once you've completed the task, you can remove the instructional field. And then we'll move on to the OHSU logo. In some instances, when downloading a copy of the template into your project, the OHSU logo might be broken and not appear. If that's the case, we've included instructions here on how to find a fresh copy of the logo and how to edit the field properly to display it. The logo is intact here, so I'm going to delete this instructional field and move on. And now we'll talk about our consent language. As with the previous fields, we'll just edit and copy from the paper form. So I'll begin with the consent summary section. Edit, copy my IRB number from my paper form, and paste. Once again, correcting formatting. For title, again, copying from my paper form and paste. Bold this. And we'll keep moving on in this fashion for the rest of the summary. I'm going to go ahead and fill out the rest of this here, and then I'll rejoin you when we move on to the main consent. All right, I've finished filling out the rest of my consent summary, so I will delete this instructional field and move on to the main consent. I will once again edit the field, copy my title from my paper form, paste, correct that bolding, copy my PI and PI's contact information, and then in this instance, there's only one co-investigator, so we'll copy that here, paste, and remove this placeholder text. Save. Moving on to the next field, who is paying for this study? We'll once again edit the field, copy from my paper form, and paste. Save. For who is providing support for this study, looking at my paper form, there's no information here for me to copy over. So in that case, I will delete this field from the template and move on. Similarly, if I had a section on my paper form that did not appear on the template, I would just copy one of these existing fields, edit the title and the text inside to match what was on the paper form. Another example might be if your consent includes optional components, such as an agreement to be contacted for future research. You would need to add that additional field to the e-consent document. Note that for any fields collecting a participant decision or agreement, including optional components, the field should be configured as a radio button with yes and no choices and should be a required field. The whole idea with the template is that you're doing whatever you need to do to make it match what the IRB has approved. If your consent includes a table, such as a table of study activities or observations, please build the table outside of REDCap and turn the table into an image. Edit the field here to upload the image and select the inline PDF option. Save. This ensures the table is displayed properly on the PDF generated when the signed consent is submitted. Please do not build the table in the field's rich text editor, as it will not print to the PDF copy of the signed consent. For all the remaining fields on the template, you'll continue in this fashion of copying and pasting from your paper form. I'm going to go ahead and fill the rest of these things in, and then we'll pick back up on the consent decision. I've finished filling in the remaining fields on the template, which brings us down to the consent decision. The consent decision is captured via a radio button. This field is required. Please do not change the field type from a radio button or remove the requiredness of this field. You will need to edit the field labels here or the field choice labels here to match your paper form. In this case, what's on the template directly matches what is on my paper form, so I need to make no further edits here. I will now delete the consent decision instructional field. The participant's signature is collected via separate first name and last name text boxes. Branching logic is applied to these fields, so the signature fields are only displayed if a participant agrees to participate. OHSU does not use wet signatures. Please do not change the field type from a text box or remove the requiredness of these fields. I will now delete the instructional field. Please do not add fields to the e-consent survey to capture the staff signature or for staff to enter their first and last name. That is handled on a separate attestation form that documents the study staff obtaining consent. We will discuss that later in this video. Also, please do not add a date field capturing the date of consent that's intended for the participant to fill out. Per the IRB, the timestamp captured by REDCap on the PDF is the date of consent. I will delete these fields. And I'll also use this opportunity to scroll back through my form, make sure I haven't left any instructional fields behind, and then also scan through my language and formatting to make sure it all looks correct. And I can see that here in this where can I get more information field, these bullet points do not look right. This can sometimes happen when you're copying out of something like a Word document and pasting in a REDCap. So let's fix this. So we can remove these bullet points and extra spaces here. And then use the rich text editor and REDCap to correct those bullets. Remove this kind of extra space here and save. And that looks much, much better. And with that, we will now move on to step 3, editing the survey settings. To access survey settings, you can either click the button at the top of the form page for survey settings, or select the survey settings button from the online designer page. For the survey title, you should follow the format of agreement to participate and then the title of your study. I will grab mine once again from my paper form, copy and paste, and move on to survey instructions. The best practice is to include an IRB-approved introduction explaining e-consent. It's also recommended that the IRB-approved introduction includes study team contact info, but please note that any language in the survey instruction text must be IRB-approved. Scrolling down. For survey theme, please accept the default setting or set to flat white to retain the professionalism of the agreement form. For question numbering, please leave this set to custom numbered. For pagination, leave this set to single page. And for allow participants to download a PDF of their responses at the end of the survey, best practice is to set this to yes. For required fields, display the red must provide value text on the survey page. Please accept the default setting of yes. For allow save and return later option for respondents, please set this to no. For auto continue to the next survey, please leave this box unchecked. And for survey completion text, the best practice is to include study team contact info, but please note, just like the survey invitation text and any participant-facing messaging, any language in the survey completion text must be IRB approved. After making our edits, we will scroll to the bottom of the form and click Save Changes. And now we will move on to step 4, configuring the e-consent framework in PDF snapshot. The e-consent framework provides the tools to preserve the integrity of the consent form as required by the IRB. It does this by not allowing the form to be edited, by requiring the participant's certification of the signed consent form, and by erasing the participant's signature in the event that someone clicks the back button in their web browser from the certification page. We will also configure REDCap to capture a PDF of the participant's completed e-consent survey. We will do this by a tool called PDF Snapshot. You can access the e-consent framework via the button in the online designer called e-consent and PDF snapshots. But please note that PDF snapshots will have its own button in future versions of REDCap. From here, click the green Enable the e-consent framework for a survey button and select your research consent form from the dropdown. Under Primary Settings, for Allow e-consent responses to be edited by users, please leave this box unchecked. For first name, select ICF_FName, and for last name, ICF_LName. And scrolling further down, under Force Signature Fields to be erased if participant clicks Previous Page button while on the certification page, select ICF_FName for this, and then click the button Select Another Signature Field, and select ICF_LName here. For the PDF snapshot settings, please accept the default settings for location to save the signed consent snapshot and the snapshot file name. Click Save, and we get our confirmation that our e-consent framework and PDF snapshot settings were saved. Now we move on to the consent attestation. The study staff consent attestation is designed to capture the signature of the staff member who obtained consent and the date of the consent attestation. The consent attestation must be completed as a survey to be valid. Note the template tag here to help you identify the template. Also, at the top of the form is the project pre-check field. As with the other eConsent templates, instructions for filling out the template are embedded in blue and red colored fields. These fields should be deleted after the task described therein has been completed. Instructional fields in gray should not be deleted. These instructional fields serve as reminders to study staff on how to complete the attestation survey correctly. These are hidden from the resulting PDF and survey via action tags. Please do not remove the action tags. The template includes a field that you will edit to include the IRB number for your study. There's also the name of the consented participant and the consent date piped in via smart variables. And the staff attestation is collected via a checkbox for the attestation statement, the date of the consent attestation, and signature. We'll now move on to editing the template. There are 3 steps involved in editing the consent attestation template. Step 1, follow the embedded instructions for editing the template, removing the red and blue instructional fields as you go. First, note the project pre-check field. This is intended to be a reminder that the person who is completing this template is the project point person who's completed both basics and survey training. The project is on the supported service for research support track, and the point person has completed self-service eConsent training on the wiki. Also, you have a paper copy of a consent and authorization form that was submitted to the IRB. The participant is required to sign your paper consent authorization form, and the study staff obtaining consent is required to sign your paper consent and authorization form. This field can be deleted after you've ensured that all of those requirements have been met. Read through the study staff instructions field, and then delete the blue instructional field. Edit the IRB number field by copying and pasting from your paper form. Save. And then delete the blue instructional field. No further edits are required on the form. However, please read through all the remaining blue instructional fields for important information and then delete those fields. Please do not remove the branching logic or action tags associated with any field on this page. And now we'll proceed to step 2, editing the survey settings. If you've not already enabled your consent attestation to be a survey, please do so now following these instructions. And also, if your form name still includes the word template in the title, please follow these instructions to remove that as well. To access survey settings, you can either click the button at the top of the form for survey settings or the button in the online designer. For survey title, please accept the default title, which is also the name of the form. And for survey instructions, if not blank, remove any instructions here. Instructions are embedded in the survey itself. Accept default or select flat white for the survey theme. For question numbering, select custom numbered. For pagination, accept the default of single page. For allow participants to download a PDF of their responses at the end of the survey, accept the default setting of yes. For required fields, display the red must provide value text on the survey page, accept the default value of yes. For allow save and return later option for respondents, please set this to no. And do not check the box auto continue to the next survey. For survey completion text, Please leave this text as is, as a reminder to study staff completing the attestation survey. And we will save these settings. And now we'll move on to step 3, configuring e-consent framework and PDF snapshot. As with the research consent, we will enable the e-consent framework to use the tools it provides to preserve the integrity of the consent attestation as required by the IRB. It does this by not allowing the survey to be edited, by requiring the staff member's certification of the signed consent attestation survey, and by erasing the staff member's signature in the event that they click the back button on their browser at the certification screen. We will again use PDF Snapshot to configure REDCap to capture a PDF of the staff member's completed attestation survey. You can access the eConsent framework via the button eConsent and PDF Snapshots in the Online Designer. Click the green Enable the eConsent framework for a survey button and select the consent attestation from the menu. Under Primary Settings, leave the box Allow eConsent responses to be edited by users unchecked. For first name, select ICF_FName. And for last name, select ICF_LName. Under the category Additional Settings, for custom tag/category for the PDF footer, please enter Consent Attestation here. And for force signature fields to be erased if participant clicks Previous Page button while on the certification page. In signature field 1, select ICF_ATT_FName. Click the button Select Another Signature field and select ICF_ATT_LName. For the PDF snapshot settings, please accept the default settings for location to save the signed consent snapshot and snapshot file name, and save. Now we move on to testing the e-consent and attestation surveys. To test your e-consent surveys, come over to Add Edit Records and Add New Record. Select the Research Consent Authorization. In the upper right-hand corner, click the drop-down to select Save and Stay. Click OK here. And from the Survey Options drop-down, select Open Survey. This will show you your e-consent survey exactly as the participant will see it. At this point, you'll want to review all the language in your consent form to make sure that it matches what is on your approved paper form. And you'll also want to review the survey settings, such as the title or instructions, to make sure that you followed the template guidance. Scroll to the bottom of the form, click Yes, I would like to participate in the study. Enter your first and last name, and next page. We now see the certification screen provided by the eConsent framework. Please review the signed form here, and scroll to the bottom. Click the box to certify that it is accurate, and submit. Here we see our survey completion text and the option to download a copy of the signed form. Close the survey, click Leave without saving changes here, and now we'll move on to testing the attestation. To do that, you can select the consent attestation here and follow the instructions in the gray field here to complete this form as a survey. So we select Survey Options from the drop-down and Open Survey. Review the participant's name and date of consent. Check the box to confirm. Select the date and add your name. Click Next Page. We once again see the certification page provided by the eConsent framework. Check the box to certify it's accurate and submit. And here we see our survey completion text. Close the survey. Again, leave without saving changes. And now we want to confirm that PDF Snapshot has stored a copy of both the completed research consent and attestation surveys. So we can come over to the file repository and the PDF Snapshot archive. And here we see that we have two files, the research consent authorization and the study staff consent attestation. Download these to review. And we can see that here we've captured the date of consent and the participant's name as required by the IRB. And for the consent attestation, download that as well. And here we see that all of that is accurate as well. And we have the date, participant's name, and stating that this is the consent attestation here. So we've confirmed that our eConsent framework and PDF snapshot settings are working properly, as we have captured both the participant's name and dates in the footers of our PDFs as required by the IRB. In conclusion, we've completed all the steps related to filling out both the research consent and authorization template and study staff consent attestation template. Links to both the REDCap wiki and all eConsent training material are in the left-hand navigation menu of every REDCap project. Please sign up for drop-in when you're ready for the REDCap team to take a look at your research consent and authorization and attestation to get our first look at the project. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. We hope it's helpful. We'll see you at drop-in.